It's almost written in the stars that Caitlin Clark will be named the Rookie of the Year. But a concerning trend is developing that we need to address. Clark is dangerously close to being suspended.
On the offensive end of scoring against a much bigger defender.
One thing is clear, her competitive spirit is pushing her a little too far. So, here's the million-dollar question. Is this fiery attitude the very thing that makes Clark great? Or is it the flaw that could bring her down? Let's begin with some context. Clark's transition from college superstar to professional athlete has been smooth in terms of on-court performance. However, there's an aspect of her game that's raising eyebrows and causing concern among fans, analysts, and league officials alike. The issue at hand is Clark's increasing number of technical fouls.
A little push right there. Being face guarded, something that Clark is used to.
In the WNBA, a player faces a one-game suspension after accumulating 7 technical fouls in a season. Clark is approaching this threshold at an alarming rate. What's particularly troubling is the nature of these technical fouls. They're not simply a result of aggressive play or hard fouls. Instead, they stem from Clark's reactions to calls she disagrees with. There have been instances of her openly mocking officials, engaging in heated verbal exchanges with opposing players, and displaying visible frustration on the court. One notable incident occurred during a game against the Connecticut Sun on May 20th. After a turnover and transition take foul against Clark, the rookie yelled at an official, "That's not a King foul."
Pass. Clark being guarded by Thomas, who takes it away. Here's Harris, and Clark's going to foul Harris. Will they call it a transition take foul? They will, and now Clark gets a tee in it. Let's take a look. And
yeah, okay. Certainly deserve the technical.
That sequence allowed Connecticut to turn a 76-72 deficit into 76-76 game. The Sun eventually went on to win 88-84. Now, we're not saying she needs to be a robot out there. Nobody wants that. We love Caitlin because of her passion and her fire. But there's a fine line between passion and losing control, and lately, it seems like she's been teetering on that line. A week ago, she picked up her 5th technical foul of the season in the Fever's 92-75 win over the Storm. Shortly after missing a three-pointer in the third quarter, she threw her fist into the padding below the basket while waiting for Aaliyah Boston to inbound the ball.
The engine for Seattle today. That is a major improvement from Indiana's defense.
The first 3 minutes.
This behavior, while born out of competitive spirit, crosses a line that the league takes very seriously. And it's crucial to understand the broader implications of this situation. Caitlin Clark isn't just any rookie. She has become the face of the WNBA's new generation of talent. Her college career brought unprecedented attention to women's basketball, and her entry into the WNBA was heralded as a potential game changer for the league's popularity and marketability. With this elevated status comes increased scrutiny. Every action Clark takes on the court is analyzed and dissected. Her behavior doesn't just reflect on her as an individual player. It impacts the perception of the Indiana Fever, the WNBA as a whole, and even the future of women's professional basketball. Let's talk about the impact a suspension could have. If Caitlin keeps racking up those technical fouls and has to sit out a game, it's not just her who suffers. The Fever are relying on her heavily. We're talking about a rookie who's leading the team in points, steals, and assists. Take her out of the lineup, and suddenly Indiana's chances of making the playoff for the first time in 7 years could take a big hit. And it's not just about one game. A suspension could mess with her rhythm and her confidence. It could be the kind of thing that throws off her whole rookie season. Again, with the Fever fighting for a playoff spot, that's the last thing she or her team needs. As a matter of fact, after collecting her most recent technical foul on Sunday, Fever head coach Christy Sides commented on the situation in the post-game press conference, saying they are going to have a conversation, and she doesn't need Caitlin to sit out a game.
I'm sure. Yeah, no, we're going to have a conversation. I don't need Caitlin to have to sit out a game. So yes, that is definitely going to be a conversation. She's just a fiery competitor. I mean, I don't want to take that away from her. That's the difference in who she is. But I'm really proud. Earlier in the game, she had 3 turnovers in that first half. I think we finished the game the last 25 minutes with only 5 turnovers. We had 22 turnovers against them last time. So for us to finish the game with 25 minutes with just 5 solid performance on that end of the floor for us.
last 2 in the room on the right.
But it's not just about the on-court impact. A suspension would be a PR nightmare. Can you imagine the headlines? Rookie sensation Caitlin Clark suspended for misconduct. It would be all over ESPN, social media, everywhere. And you know the haters would come out in full force. See? She can't handle the pro level. She's not ready for the WNBA. All that noise. How Clark handles this situation could set the tone for her entire career. Will she be known as a fierce competitor who learned to channel her emotions? Or will she develop a reputation for being difficult and undisciplined? And look, we're not saying any of that would be fair, but that's the reality of being in the spotlight. Fair or not, Caitlin's got a target on her back and there are people out there just waiting for her to slip up. Now let's talk about the refs for a second, because here's the thing, they're human too. And when you've got a player who's constantly challenging calls, constantly pushing the limits, well, let's just say they might start watching that player a little more closely. And that's not good for Caitlin or for the Fever. Think about it. If the refs are keeping an extra close eye on Caitlin, they might be quicker to call fouls on her. They might be less likely to give her the benefit of the doubt on close plays. And in a tight game, that could be the difference between a win and a loss. But it's not all doom and gloom. The good news is that Caitlin is aware of the issue. After that game against the Storm, she addressed it in the post-game press conference.
I got a technical for basically being mad at myself because I missed the three and then I went and hit the backboard, and he told me it was disrespectful to the game of basketball. So I don't know, it reminded me of the technical that I got in college where I said, damn it, where it's like a personal frustration. Had nothing to do with my team, had nothing to do with their reffing, had nothing to do with other team. It was just because I'm a competitor and I felt like I should have been making more shots. So, but I think he fired me up to continue to play a lot harder. I thought we got a lot better after he did that. So I want to thank him for that.
Well, we can't say she sounded very remorseful there, can we? She did acknowledge that she needs to do a better job of keeping her emotions in check. And that's a great first step. Recognizing the problem is half the battle, right? Caitlin needs to remember the bigger picture. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to get caught up in a bad call or a tough play, but she's got to keep in mind what's at stake. Her team's success, her own rookie season, the growth of the WNBA, all of that is bigger than any single player call. Think about some of the WNBA greats: Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Candace Parker. These are players who are known for their fierce competitiveness, but they also knew how to channel that energy in a way that didn't hurt their team. That's the level Caitlin needs to get to. And let's be real, it's not just about avoiding suspension, it's about leadership. Even as a rookie, Caitlin's already become a leader on her team. If she's constantly arguing with refs or getting into it with opponents, what kind of message does that send to her teammates? What kind of culture does that create? On the flip side, if Caitlin can learn to channel her emotions in a positive way, to lead by example even when things aren't going her way, man, that's when she'll truly reach that next level. That's when she'll go from being a great rookie to being a future WNBA legend. Now, we need to take a minute to talk about the pressure Caitlin's under, because let's be honest, it's intense. She's not just carrying the hopes of her team, but in many ways she's carrying the hopes of the entire WNBA. That's a lot for anyone to handle, let alone a rookie fresh out of college. Every game, every play, there are thousands of eyes on her. Fans, critics, scouts, everyone's watching to see what Caitlin Clark will do next. And when you're under that kind of scrutiny, it's easy to let the pressure get to you. It's easy to let your emotions boil over. So while we're talking about Caitlin needing to keep her cool, let's also remember to cut her some slack. She's human after all. She's going to make mistakes. The important thing is that she learns from them. And you know what? I think she will. From everything we've seen of Caitlin Clark, she's not just a great player, she's a smart player. She's always looking to improve, always looking to take her game to the next level. And I believe that includes working on the mental aspect of her game. So, what do you think? Is Caitlin Clark walking a dangerous line? Or is this all just part of what makes her such an exciting player to watch? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, while you're down there, why not hit that like button and subscribe to the channel? I've got tons more WNBA content coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss it.